This is one of those harder Star Trek novels to cover. Here's why. Essentially, what we have is the crew of the original series, but we have two timelines, an A and a B plot, that we follow. In our regular 23rd century one, Kirk and crew are visiting a gas giant with a ring system which is experiencing some instability. The second one takes place in the early 21st century. Yes, we're going back to modern times, or at least the Star Trek equivalent of them. In fact, 2020. Yes, I know. Insert various jokes here, which will get this video demonetized. The book was published, by the way, about 10 years earlier than that. In that, we are visiting Jupiter, the first manned mission. Now, this leads to the first of the issue I have with this book. Cox is one of the more prolific, current-ish, sort of second-generation writers of Star Trek tie-in books. I usually like his characterization, the way that he deals with characters, the way they're described, their psychology is laid out, that sort of thing. But there's one problem I find with his writing, particularly how he does Star Trek tie-in novels. Absolutely everything has to be an Easter egg. It's just constant. And it doesn't help that we're not just making Easter egg references within the text, within the dialogue, within the characters' thought processes, but the plots themselves are often constructed out of a series of Easter eggs. Now, I'm not sure if this is his idea or this is Paramount or what, but considering it's not as bad in the other tie-in novels of this era, I assume it has to be more him. And look, I like Easter eggs. To stretch the metaphor a bit, I have nothing wrong with having the occasional Easter egg that time of year, and they can be a nice treat. But I'm not having an entire dinner out of one, and I'm not spending a couple days only eating them. I'm in my mid-40s, and let's just say my system can't handle that. And this constant Easter egg, to bring it back to the fiction reference to Easter eggs, is just a little too much. Essentially, what we have here is the 2020 timeline events are referencing the series when the Enterprise goes back to 1960s Earth and accidentally abducts a pilot. The reason why he needs to be returned to the Earth and why he can't talk about what he saw is that his, as Spock says, his son will be the commander on the first Jupiter manned mission. Okay, all right, so that's the entire timeline there, or narrative there. And then when they visit Jupiter, they discover a alien probe. Yes, we're doing that again, so Star Trek 1, but at the same time combining that with instant transference across space and time, where the officer in charge of the mission, the son, changes places with Kirk, who just happened to touch a probe found on this alien planet. The alien probes are suggested to be part of the Preservers, which is a retcon, of course, and also there's a lot of references in Kirk's head to tie in with the episode where he went back to a hunter-gatherer culture and had a lady love, and naturally it didn't end well. The bodies are transferred quantum leap style, or not the bodies, but the consciousness, so Kirk spends some time in the 21st century, and being Kirk, he has to avoid entanglements with a stowaway on the spaceship. Yes, we're doing that. And one of the other crew members who had a previous relationship with the body, so to speak, of the commander of the mission. This is actually done reasonably well, all things considered. Hearing Kirk basically think through the problems that he could cause for the timeline by getting a little affection is rather entertaining. But the conclusion of the thing also ties into yet another episode, which I will not spoil, but it makes the whole thing fall flat completely. Something else I've noticed with Cox and his, he never quite sticks the landing. I've noticed that. It makes the whole thing rather frustrating. So this goes in the I didn't like, I'm sad to say. I probably will reread it at some point, probably when I'm doing a big reread of the original series. Maybe someday I'll sit down and do them all in order by publication date. But no time soon, and there's just a lot better out there if you're interested in Kirk and crew, and if you want a story that holds together beyond this is a reference to another episode, this is a reference to something else. There is just so much better out there. Like I said, technically it's fine. Characterizations are good. I'll give it that. And it does, because it's using the Easter eggs, it does tie into Trek lore, and there's very little retconning here besides the preservers. So it does have that. If you can get past the plot construction, then you'll get more pleasure out of this than I will, quite frankly. Hope you enjoyed the review. If you like this, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me in the comments why I'm wrong and how we all need everything to be Easter eggs these days. Otherwise, have yourself a good day and keep reading.